Hello, Fallen Dragonite here again, and today we will be looking at another figure from the Generations line. And of course, unlike the last one, this is actually a retailer release, not a web exclusive like the last one I reviewed. This one is Sandstorm, a repaint, remold, and retool of Generation Springer. I believe this was 2004, 2006. I don't remember exactly when this came out, but I got this when it was still fairly new. So, yeah, back when these things were like 25 bucks instead of the 30 bucks you pay for Voyagers these days. More on that in a bit. But I have him in his VTOL jet mode. And you can see there is a lot of very nicely sculpted details here in the cockpit, the front nose. These seem kind of out of place, but not terribly. The VTOLs spin, although the inner thing is sculpted plastic. Oh, hang on. Let me just get my background back up there. Got a lot of nice sculpted detail along the body. But the side you can kind of see some gappage. This kind of looks hollow. This is definitely hollow, though it's probably not coming out on camera too well because it's just black. You can clearly see these panels right here just seem off for some reason. Not terribly, but they do seem a little off. Of course, we have this little bottom-mounted gun, which is a pressure-based missile, meaning it doesn't really fire too far, no spring. So you can store the missile in the gun like so and not worry about losing it because there's no spring to strain it out a bit. So it's going to launch the same way no matter what. Of course, we can just pop it right off. There's two notches on here that just slide in there. And we just dig under there, dig out the regular landing gear. We'll put this off to the side for now. Now then, the VTOL form has a few issues, and it all has to do with this back area here. Because this back area is really hard to get perfectly aligned. It's not impossible. As you can see, I got it perfectly aligned like it's supposed to be, but it is the more frustrating point of the transformation into this mode. But it looks quite nice when it's fully completed. The yellow looks nice, although this section right here kind of seems a little off because it's yellow. It's orange instead of yellow. Just seems to break the illusion a bit, but not terribly bad. So we'll get him into his second mode. As I said, this is a retool of Springer, so of course he has two vehicle modes. So we fold these sections up like so. This section right here is folded out. We fold this section up, fold that back, do the same to the other side, like so. Make sure to push that in so that that black section is flush. We take this section here, unpeg it on both ends, and pull it back like so, and make sure it's pressed in snugly in there. And then we just take these sections and push them in. You can already see we have a much larger windshield for its buggy mode. I'll explain why it's a buggy after we get it transformed, because it'll be clear why. So we separate this back section, fold it out, tab to slot right there. Unfortunately, you gotta get this lined up, but it's not as finicky as trying to peg this whole back section together. Okay, so there we go. Take this section, we flip these around, and they just peg in right there on both sides like so. And you can see the buggy mode, but we still have this section right here. This section folds over like this. There's slots, there's tabs right there. They just peg in, and these sections just fold right over. The side windshields become like armor plating. And finally we take the gun, we fold this section out like so, angling it as far back as we can, and plug it into the hole like so. And there we have his Doom Buggy mode. And I like the look of this a lot better than the VTOL. The VTOL looks pretty good, but this looks a lot more complete. It doesn't look as broken up. This section looks like extra armor that's been put on. The front grille is broken up because there's no filler or gap in there because of how it transforms. Got these big tires in the back, which are originally the VTOL rotors, and it just rolls nicely. These black sections are fairly pressed down. They show panel lines, but they all have the sculpted detail, so it almost blends in pretty well. Also, these blend in pretty. These are also nicely sculpted. The armor windows are nicely sculpted. This top section has a lot of gaps, but it's mostly covered by the guns, so you don't have to worry about it. As I said, that looks a lot more complete than the VTOL mode because it's a lot harder to tell that it's a triple changer in this form. My problem is the windshield here. As you can see, it kind of pops up. It's supposed to be flushed down a bit more. I think that's just mine. Could be the whole toy, but again, this just could be my thing. So let's take out the gun, get him into robot mode. So we gotta flip that out for now. Fold these back like so. Rotate the VTOL rotors back to their original position. Pull these out like so. Separate what will be the robot mode legs and make sure that those sections snap back into place. Fold this down, and this is where things get a little tricky because we have to fold this out all the way in order to get the head, which is tucked right there in his torso. As you can see, there's a crest on the top of his head, and it barely fits into here like so. If that is folded in, you won't get enough clearance to get his head through as you fold down the torso like so, and you fold the landing gear into his chest for the clearance. Now we take this panel here, we tab it into there, and untab his arm as we do so. Next, we got to take this piece out, and this piece is extremely difficult to get out because you have to wiggle it out. You don't have a lot of clearance to do so, so you got to really try your best until it finally wiggles out and you can fold it back up in the mode it was when it was in VTOL mode. Fold the panels up and fold out the fist. Make sure it just collapses in like so. We'll do the same to the other side. Try to get some leverage in there. Pull it out. Rotate. fold out the fist and collapse the bicep onto itself. Next we have this piece. We pull it out, snap it into the V-tool section. You have slot there, tab there to peg that in. We can angle these back just a little. In this section here, there are slots here that take these tabs like so, but that gives this big thing sticking out, and in all honesty, it's just a lot better to fold it back like that, which hides it a lot better on the figure. And then finally, fold these out, fold out the heels, click the knees a few times, and there we have Sandstorm in his robot mode, and we'll give him his gun like so. And there is an old school, well, not old school, a Generations Voyager figure. For comparison, here is a Voyager from Studio Series. See, they're about the same height, but there's a bit more chunk to this guy. Let's get a leader class out here. I got my 6th shot here. He's shorter than a leader class, like he's supposed to, and just for shits and giggles, here he is with my Data East Classics machine, and he actually scales quite well with the machine, if I do say so myself. Yeah, I just brought this out because it was just on my desk at the time. So let's look at the details. We got his Autobot logo right there. We got some nice sculpted details. We got these sections right here, which look like intakes. Lots of sculpted detail in his abs. The biceps are also still hollow because of what they were made of. The shins are nicely painted. Inside, of course, is very gappy. Outside is also kind of gappy. So let's get into the head, which has some light piping. It is also very nicely detailed. I don't think this is the Springer head. I think this is slightly remolded. It might be the Springer head, it might not be, but definitely different. For articulation, as you can see, the head is on a ball joint. Mine is very loose. He has universal shoulders. Only go about that far. Ratcheted elbows, which go a little under the 90 degrees, as well as a bicep swivel. Hand can angle inward, which is more for transformation. No waist. Oh wait, he does have a waist. Didn't think he would have a waist because of all that back kibble. But yeah, he has a waist. He also has universal hips and thigh swivel. Ratcheting knees, which go over 90 degrees. He also has this joint here, which is more for transformation. I don't see why you would need it. And of course his foot kind of rocks a little bit, and there's the transformation joint for the heel. His feet are permanently angled, so it's going to take a little trying to get him into a good pose, especially with that backpack of his, which is all of that. And the heels don't really go past the thigh too much. So trying to get him into some nice action poses does take a little bit of trying. But it can be done. And there we go. Anyway, for this figure, I'd say I really like the design better than Springer, because Springer was kind of something we've seen a lot of times before with the character, whereas this is a nice take on the same concept with a unique spin to it. No pun intended. But I could see some people not liking the color scheme with the orange and yellow. But considering he's supposed to be like a desert dune buggy, I guess that could work. And my joint here is kind of not so tight. Again, that's probably just mine. But if you like what you see, I say get it. He is nice little transformer. His legs, trying to get them together for VTOL mode is a little bit of a pain, but he's not terrible. Nicely sculpted, nicely detailed. Nice little addition to your collection, especially if you want something a little different than just the generic Springer. Anyway, I hope to see you again next video. Bye!